I went to a breeder for my dog, and my brother Brett, he's a good guy. He rescues everything. Everything. He's got he's got fucked up pets all over his house. They're missing a foot, they're missing an eye, they can't hear, they're blind. He rescues everything. So I think it's a wash because we both have the same last name. That's how that works. I call you Ferris when you come up with this shit. Brett is making up for the dead dog farm that was your house. Jesus, you don't forget anything, do you? Look, we lived on a busy road, and I can honestly tell you, four pets were run over. Four pets were run over, and the last one was probably one of the worst days of my life. And it was the same day as my uncle's wake, who died way too young. Um, but that wasn't the reason why it was the worst day of my life. It was the worst day of my life because we went to the wake for my dad's brother, and everyone was very, very sad. And then I was living in Huntington at the time. I was living about 3 miles from my parents' house, and my dad calls up all distraught. Like, what the hell's going on? It'll be okay, Dad. I thought he was really bummed out about his brother, which he obviously was. But his sadness went to a whole nother level because Brett's dog that they were watching, I forgot the circumstances, but Brett couldn't really have the dog where he was. He was in between living arrangements or something. I forget exactly. The dog went into the road and got hit. And my brother had the dog. It was a black lab. From the time the dog was literally this big, it was everything to my brother. And my dad, he's pretty much in tears. He's like, you got to come over here. Your brother is inconsolable. So I come over, and it shows you what kind of guy my dad was too, by the way, if you're wondering. So the story goes, the dog got hit, and my dad was living off one artery to his heart. He could barely walk. My dad at this point, he would end up dying a mere year later, maybe 2 years later. But the dog's laying in the road after getting hit by a car. My dad sacrificed his actual fucking life. He knew it wouldn't be a good idea to try to carry an 80-pound dog out of the street, but he did that for my brother because he knew how much this dog meant to my brother. And he was hoping that possibly, the dog would survive being hit by a car. The dog didn't survive. He tells my brother. My brother comes over. He's inconsolable. He's on his knees, the type of cry you never want to hear from anybody. My dad is really sad. My mom's sitting there just staring at the ceiling. Oh, that's a joke. That's a joke. She was bummed too. Um, and then I'm like, hold on. I'm trying to like calm Brett down. There's no calming him down. And all of a sudden he goes from like just crying his eyes out and he gets real serious. And he looks at me and he goes, we have to bury the dog now. And he had eyes like I have eyes right now. And I'm like, now? Now. I'm like, okay. It's 11, 12 o'clock at night. We go in the backyard of my parents' house where we all were raised. It's the middle of winter. It's probably right around this time of the year. The ground is as frozen can be. And Brent goes, where's the dog? And my dad says it's in a wheelbarrow. So we wheelbarrow the dog to the backyard of my parents' house and proceed to start digging a hole in the middle of winter when the ground was completely frozen. I'm talking like you're slamming the shovel down and you're getting like this much dirt. But Brent's like, we have to do this. And my whole job, I only had one job and I fucked it up because he wanted to dig the hole. So I had the flashlight so he could see what he's doing. Because, I forgot to tell you, it was also pitch dark because it was overcast or something. The moon was over there when it's supposed to be over here. So there's no moonlight. And I'm holding the flashlight so he could dig the hole properly. I could barely see the guy. And every once in a while, I would slip with the flashlight, and it would hit the wheelbarrow with his dead dog. And then all of a sudden, that would make him collapse again. to his knees. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Long story short, it took a while, man, but he dug an impressive hole, and we buried his dog in the backyard of my parents' house in the middle of winter. And I can honestly say that's right up there as one of the saddest days of my life. One of the saddest. And it just shows you, like I said, what kind of guy my dad was, because he literally sacrificed having a massive heart attack because he only had one artery. Everything else was clogged. And he lifted that dog out of the street and got him out of there. But thanks to Ferris, she had to remind me that we had a house of horrors, and a lot of pets met their demise at that house. Jesus. My dad also buried my cat. Oh my God! I went for a bike ride. I had this feral cat that I got from Buffalo. I named it Velcro because it would climb the rug walls that we had for soundproofing at a radio station I worked at in Buffalo called the Fox. Morning guy. God rest his soul too. He's no longer with us. He was mistreating the cat, even though he's a really good guy for real. But he didn't like cats, and he made it very obvious, excuse me. And that was the only reason I brought the cat home. And I was infested by fleas because of this cat. And I brought the cat home to Long Island when I got the big gig at WBAB, and I was living with my parents for a while. I went for a bike ride, and I come back, and my dad's like, I'm like, what? Velcro, got run over by a car. I held it until it wasn't warm anymore. I'm like, oh my God. I go, where is he? And he goes, I buried it under the apple tree because I know how special the apple tree is to you. And I'm like, it's not special. That's the tree I ran up into because I didn't want to talk about sex with you. That doesn't make it a special apple tree. But he buried my cat that was also run over in the street outside the house I grew up in. Fun, right? This is fun for everybody. Fun, fun, fun.